Today, we are diving into a pretty fascinating reality: why our brains constantly trick us, and more importantly, how we can actually learn to outsmart them. We're going to unpack some truly groundbreaking concepts from Daniel Kahneman's Nobel Prize-winning work, Thinking Fast and Slow. Okay, let's get right into it because this is going to fundamentally change how you view your own decision-making process.
The illusion of rationality. We all like to think of ourselves as perfectly logical creatures, carefully weighing the pros and cons of absolutely every choice. But let's start with a quick test. Listen to your immediate intuition and try to answer right now. A bat and a ball cost $1.10 in total. The bat costs exactly $1 more than the ball. So how much does the ball cost? Just let that very first answer pop into your head.
Did your brain just scream 10 cents? Well, if you guessed 10 cents, the actual mathematical answer is 5 cents. Think about it. If the ball is 5 cents and the bat is $1 more, making the bat $1.05, they perfectly add up to $1.10. And hey, if you got it wrong, don't worry, you are in very, very good company. Because look at the data behind that puzzle. More than half of the students at Harvard, MIT, and Princeton gave that intuitive but completely wrong answer of 10 cents. At less selective universities, the failure rate shot up to over 80%. It brilliantly proves that raw intelligence, or having a fancy degree, absolutely doesn't make you immune to mental traps. Our brains are simply hardwired to jump to the easiest, most appealing conclusion.
Section 2. Meet your two systems.
So, to understand why incredibly smart people fail a basic math test, Daniel Kahneman says we need to look at human thinking as a constant interplay between two totally distinct agents. Think of them like characters in a play. System 1 is fast, automatic, and highly emotional. It operates with literally zero effort. It's the system that instantly knows 2 plus 2 is 4 or reads an angry expression on a stranger's face. System 2, on the other hand, is slow, deliberate, and logical. It handles the complex computations. But, and here's the massive catch, System 2 is incredibly lazy. It would much rather sit back and let System 1 do all the heavy lifting.
And the really crucial point here is this. While our conscious System 2 deeply believes it's the hero of our story, it's actually that effortless System 1 driving 90 to 95% of our daily choices, completely on autopilot. From swerving to dodge a pothole, to forming an instant first impression of a new coworker, System 1 is the hidden driver behind the wheel.
Section 3. The trap of mental shortcuts. Because System 1 has to handle so many decisions every single day, it has to find ways to save us mental energy. In psychology, these cognitive shortcuts are called heuristics. Think of heuristics like really helpful memory butlers. They speed up our decision-making so we don't freeze in analysis paralysis, just trying to order lunch. But they become incredibly dangerous when our brain applies them to complex, high-stakes situations without bothering to wake up our logical System 2 to double-check the math.
Let me give you an everyday example of how easily our System 1 gets manipulated by framing. Say you're grocery shopping. A product labeled 90% fat-free instantly feels way healthier and more appealing than one labeled 10% fat. Objectively, mathematically, they are the exact same thing. But System 1 only reacts to the emotional resonance. Fat-free feels like a total win, while 10% fat feels like a risk.
Kahneman coined a fantastic acronym for this exact phenomenon, YCSIAT. What you see is all there is. Our fast system literally builds a coherent reality using solely the information right in front of it, entirely ignoring what might be missing. It doesn't pause to ask, wait, what aren't they telling me? It just takes the available pieces, builds a story, and confidently assumes that story is the absolute truth.
Section 4. Why smart people fail. This tendency to jump to conclusions based on super limited information is exactly why highly intelligent professionals constantly fall into the trap of overconfidence. Take corporate hiring, for example. Research shows managers often make a gut judgment about a candidate in the very first 30 seconds of an interview. Maybe they have a firm handshake or a confident tone. Boom, System 1 likes them. For the rest of the interview, the manager just lazily uses System 2 to rationalize that snap decision. They start asking softer questions and unconsciously ignore red flags, just to confirm the choice System 1 already made for them. Now, to be thorough, we definitely shouldn't overstate how much of our behavior is totally out of our control. For years, psychology touted these wild priming studies, like the one claiming if you read words associated with the elderly, you'll unconsciously start walking slower.
But as Ruth Lays points out in Anatomy of a Train Wreck, many of these famous studies about extreme unconscious behavior have actually failed to replicate recently. We're deeply influenced by System 1 for sure, but we aren't completely helpless puppets. In fact, psychologist Gerd Gerenzer adds an incredibly important counter-perspective here. He argues that these heuristics aren't always flaws or biases. Instead, they're part of an adaptive toolbox that actually helps us successfully navigate really complex environments. Sometimes, going with your gut or choosing the brand you quickly recognize leads to the absolute best outcome when you literally don't have the time to analyze every single variable.
Section 5. Taking back control.
So, knowing all this, what do we actually do about it? The ultimate goal isn't to kill our fast System 1, but to know exactly when to wake up our analytical System 2. You can build immediate guardrails for your mind by implementing 3 steps for any major choice. Step 1. Enforce cooling off periods. Never make a huge financial or career decision in the heat of the moment. Sleep on it to let System 2 engage. Step 2. Implement checklists. A structured checklist literally forces you to slow down. And Step 3. Conduct premortems. Let's focus on that last one, because it is an absolute game changer. A premortem is when you gather your team before finalizing a big decision and you say, okay, imagine it's a year from now and this project has completely failed. What went wrong? This brilliantly forces your lazy System 2 to work backward from a hypothetical disaster. It makes your brain actively hunt for the exact red flags your optimistic intuition just completely glossed over.
On the flip side, what if you want to influence others or build better habits for yourself? Well, you have to design for System 1. If you want people to save for retirement, or if you want to force yourself to eat healthier, make the desired action the absolute default. Remove all the friction. Make the best choice the path of least resistance, so that the fast, lazy System 1 naturally just follows it without even having to think. By understanding this constant tug-of-war between these two fascinating characters inside your mind, you can literally stop being a puppet to your own cognitive biases. You start to recognize when your brain is taking a shortcut, you pause, and you actively engage those logical gears. I want to leave you with one final question to ask yourself. The very next time you face a crucial decision, whether it's in business, investing, or your personal life, which system is really going to be in the driver's seat?